A while back, I took my big Adansonii plant and completely cut it up to try and set it back a little bit and reset it. And if you saw that video, you'll know it was a little bit dramatic. Well, it's been 11 months since then. It's lost a fair amount of leaves. It's got mealybugs twice, and I'll be honest, I've definitely underwatered it more than once. So this video today is pretty much another almost 4 years journey from that original chop and prop. And yes, we are doing another one. Now, if you haven't seen that first original video, I'll make sure I'll leave it in the show notes to link for you. But basically, my Adansonii was hugely overgrown. So I literally chopped the whole top section off. I took a whole lot of cuttings from that midsection, and I also tried to redo the base, this guy right here. I mean, it was quite a lot for the full plant. And then I just decided to keep on filming. So let's go back to the beginning of this journey, where I took it off from last time. It's about 3 months after that big chop. So let's have a look at where we're at. It's not looking so glowy at the moment, but that's okay. It was kind of expected. First of all, it is going through some stress, right? So there is a lot of yellowing. It definitely needs a clean. It needs another wipe over for mealies just in case, although I have been looking and I can't really see anything. It's been in the same spot every single day for the last 2.5 weeks. Now, it is literally the beginning of winter. It's got very cold over the last few days here in Sydney, but there has been some nice, strong speckles of light coming straight through the window because of the angle of the sun. It's up near a window, but it's definitely not touching the window because otherwise that gets frosted and very cold. But I'm going to now pull these off because they're literally about to come off, some of them. There we go. So I'm going to clean him up a little bit, get rid of the old yellow leaves because they're not doing anything. There are a couple of leaves, like down the bottom here, where you can see a little bit of yellowing in the green, but there's still a lot of green. So I'm going to leave them, but there is some really, really exciting news. Come with me, have a look, have a look. Look at all of these little growths, even down here. There's a stem that I cut right down the bottom, there's here, but if you go through, like even there's a tiny little one of that stub that I cut. Where else? Up the top here, which is where I really want it, there's one there. Look, there's new growth. There's one there, there's a stem. There's one there. There's one right at the top here. So there's lots and lots and lots of new growth happening, which is really exciting. And the other thing is some of these stems from the old setup weren't going into the moss pole. That was the big problem because there's not enough aerial roots in the main moss pole getting those nutrients and that watering to sustain the plant with all of that chopping underneath. So as I grow it up the new moss pole, that's the main part I'm going to focus on, making sure all of that new growth goes into the moss pole. Okay, so it is now the mid to end of winter here, and we have had one of the coldest and wettest winters in a long time. I think like 100 years or since the weather map has been on or something like that. My Adansonii has not appreciated the cold and wet weather. Now, it is my fault a little bit because I do have her right next to the outside door, and we have dogs, and so my partner leaves the door open so they can come in and out, and I keep closing it. That's pretty normal, I think, in most households. We've got growth at the top of the all new shoots. We've got a little bit of growth at the bottom, but the middle here is suffering, and it's lost a lot of leaves, more than I really wanted. I did say that some of the stems didn't grow extra aerial roots or extra roots, and I really wanted that to happen to give it more strength. So it hasn't had a lot of strength. The whole reason I did the chop and prop is so I could get bigger and brighter leaves. I'm going for like Sydney plant guy style. And these leaves, the new ones, are coming out a really big size, like the size of my hand basically, which I really, really love. So there's new growth at the bottom, there's amazing, fabulous growth at the top, but it still needs a little bit of strengthening. So what I might do over the next month or so as spring is starting to come, the warmer weather is starting to come, I might give it a little bit of sea salt or seaweed solution. We call it 𝗟𝗃, the brand. And that will just help de-stress a plant a little bit. Don't ask me how it works, but I do know it helps with colder, wetter months. And then the other part was I had all of these growths that I had to propagate, but I also had mealybugs. So I had to treat mealybugs on this entire thing. I put it in the bath, and 3 months down the track, I haven't seen one mealybug. Is that a mealies? No. However, I kind of missed it on some of the cuttings by the look of it, and they haven't done the best, but I'll show you anyway. You ready? It's not the nicest in here, but as you can see, it's a lot of brown dead leaves in here. See, there's a mealybug. So I haven't treated it. So I've got to freshen up this whole bucket. The leaves have gone, but the stems have not. So I still have a lot of wet sticks, cute little tiny growth there. and that'll happen on most of the growth. So I'm going to have to almost start again. Yeah, pretty much. I do have a couple of other cuttings of the Adansonii around the place, so I'm not worried about it. I'll still be able to put new growth down the bottom, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I might do it maybe in another 3 or 4 months time if it needs it, but I don't think so because I've got all this new growth happening at the bottom, lots of fantastic big leafed growth at the top. I'm not going to touch the plant because I just touched mealybugs. So yeah, so that's my interim today. Not the best news, but we are literally about to hit spring here, and I'm very, very excited to see these leaves grow big into this new moss pole, and it's got a whole new 90 centimeters to grow, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 new stems. Okay, we're going to start with the base, and you can see, oh my gosh, it has had a caterpillar time of its life, hasn't it, poor thing? But the leaves are growing so big. Look how big the leaves. He's growing, but he's being eaten to buggery. So there we go. There's my Adansonii. As you can see, the base is now starting to get a lot of growth. There's a couple of yellow leaves which I left so I could pull off today. Get rid of him. But some beautiful light green growth, and then the old leaves, bit of dog hair. But that is growing up the bottom beautifully, and then the top is doing super well. I'm very happy. The leaves are a big, decent size, and they're growing bigger, and they're growing into each other. So like that one, we need to take him out so he doesn't grow into, into himself. See, there's growth down the bottom, growth at the top, but there's still a gap. So the good news is that while this one grows up the bottom moss pole, this one will grow up the top moss pole, and we should have a really beautiful bushy plant where I can keep the top half and sell the bottom half. There we go. This should be full of cuttings, a bit warm. There we go. There's a lot of cuttings. So I have quite a few, probably a bit more than 10, I would say then. Maybe 15 to 20. Okay, time for another check-in. So let's, it's now the end of the growing season, basically. So it's had time to do a lot of growing. So let's look at the 3 areas again. So this is the base, which is outside. Oh. So bushy, oh, let me stand back. Bushy growth. But if you look closely, it's been attacked by caterpillars a lot. So I actually have had to cut quite a lot off of this guy as we have gone. All the leaves, like, look at this one. Can you see that? So yeah, so there's a lot of eaten leaves here, which is why I haven't really looked after it that much. Like I haven't put it on a moss pole or anything. I'm just letting it grow. And there's still a lot more room for the roots to come through. I can't really see many on the outside. It is the original big pot that it came in, and there's still like there's like 5 or 6 growths all in that spot just there. So it's still quite a decent amount of growth in the last 3 to 4 weeks, but it would probably look just a little bit more bushier and probably a little bit taller if I had staked it and not let the caterpillars get to it. So that's the base. Okay, so what about the cuttings? So we did start off with a whole lot of long vines and lots of different propagations. They were all in this box. Now I've taken most of them out. There are still a couple of small stragglers left, as you can see, but I've filled it up obviously with other like propagations and cuttings and snippets. So it's still a full box, so I'm not wasting valuable growing space, I guess. So that's that one. But where did all the other ones go? Well, there's this growth and this growth, 2 cuttings that are growing there. This one is 3 cuttings that I'm growing there. But that's not all. We've got this one, and we've got this one, and we got this one. This one. There we go. So there is a lot of cuttings growing here, and each pot has 2 to 3 cuttings to make it look bushy and full. And I have actually sold a couple already as well. So there was a lot more than this. So they're doing very, very well, these cuttings. They have started in a propagation box. I put them out. I still have them under a grow light in the same space with a little bit of humidity for most of them. So this one is on the market on Facebook for a couple of bucks. I think 15, 20 or something like that. So nice and easy. So yeah, cuttings are doing very, very well. But of course, you want to see the mama plant. Let's have a look. Ta-da! How beautiful is it? I'm so pleased with how this is going. Still no mealy bugs after, what, 6, 7 months already since we first started this journey. Really beautiful, full, luscious growth. And just going from top to bottom, she's still got about half this moss pole to go. The roots are starting to grow in strong. It took a little while for some of the plants, because there's like there's about 3 or 4 stems going up this to make it so bushy and full, because I had so many to start with. And some are growing into the pole very easily and some are not. I am just using a lot of Velcro tape to try and get the plant to really hang on to the moss pole. And once it does, you can see really thick, nice, juicy roots because the leaves, but they're getting so big now. I'm really happy with how much this is sizing up, but that's ultimately what I wanted. 𝗟𝗧𝗃𝗏𝗳𝗆 Plant Guy is into my head where he has these massive leaves. I want to see if I can get as big or beat him. That is my goal in Sydney. It's a Sydney plant off somehow. Anyway, but I'm so happy because the growth is there. I've got the bottom half is now growing up to the top half, and even some of the leaves down the bottom are getting really, really big. So I'm super happy about that. And when this one gets big, I'm going to keep going with this. I'm going to put another moss pile up the top here, which you can't see my hand off the screen. And I'm going to sell the bottom one. And because it's got beautiful big leaves and a moss pile and everything, it's going to do a pretty good sale, I have to say, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to leave it now until the very, very final. So this is going to be the second to last video out of this thing. And I will see you in a few more months when this whole thing is fully grown and we are ready to chop and prop again, almost back to the first cycle. So I'll leave it a few more months and I'll see you in a few seconds in a few more months, if that makes sense. Bye. Now, right now it is June for Australia, which means we're the opposite of the world. We're in winter. So it does explain a little bit about how it's a little bit more sparse because I've just had to take a few yellow leaves off. But as you can see going up, the leaves are okay a little bit until you get about halfway, which is where the new moss pole is. And the leaves are stunning. So while the bottom half, I honestly don't really care because that wasn't my point. My point is to get the leaves to grow up on the moss pole and to make them bigger and fatter and grow bigger as they go taller. And that's exactly what is happening. So I'm really happy about that. Now there is a front and a back here, so I'm okay with that. I prefer not to twist the moss pole around every couple of weeks because I find that, especially if the moss pole is round, the vine doesn't naturally try to curl around the moss pole. It'll just grow upwards or straight. So I would rather just have one side facing the light, the window and the light, and go straight up the moss pole and find its own way, as opposed to me having to go in and put Velcro. I mean, I have enough Velcro on here without me trying to trail it around. I'm going to do one last chop and prop because the bottom part, as I said, doesn't matter, although there are some really beautiful, huge leaves down there. But we're going to separate the top, and I have admittedly, after 12 months of none, found a couple of mealybugs up the top. So it does need a bit of a treatment. It's pretty hard to find, but I had to find where the moss pole actually meets itself. And I did a damn good job at the beginning because there's just a double there. So let's just cut off the joins. Top moss pole is off. Now I need to cut the stems somehow with a wonky pole. That's fine. Stay. Yep, and this one. There. Have I not cut a stem? I've not cut a stem. That's what it is. There. Okay. Right. Now it should move. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, so that's going to be my beautiful new plant, and have no idea what I'm going to do with the base, but might sell it. We'll figure that out later. Let's fix this girl first. I mean, look how big the leaves are. Look, compared to my hand. They're huge for me. Oh well. I reuse my moss, so I always put it back into a bag, which is why it's not gorgeously like light brown, but I reuse it. You don't need to buy new stuff all the time. I've cleaned it all now with neem oil. I sprayed all in where the stem joins onto the end of the leaf or the petiole, just to get all of those extra mealybugs out. And now I'm just going to spray with this Vitality spray. It's a plant conditioner, so it prevents pests a little bit, and it just helps keep the plant healthy and the foliage healthy. And this will keep it going better for the future. Now that I can see the top of the plant, I can actually see there's a little bit of mealybug stuff here. So it's good now that I can clean it. Now I treated this 12 months ago and it has not had mealybugs for like 10 months. So I think I did pretty good, but it is also right next to the back door where I bring out all of my sick or need to treat plants. So might have just brushed off, or they might have been dormant for 10 months, who knows? There's always bugs in plant kit, no matter what you do. You just got to do your best to manage them as much as you can. So the plant has been chopped and gloriously cleaned. Now that we've got the shorter moss pole, the plant itself is going to be relying a lot more on that moss pole to get its nutrients and all its value, because we need the roots to grow into that moss pole. So what I'm going to do now is just add a water bottle on top to dampen the moss. And I'm going to add some root growth hormone. This is one that I absolutely love, use it all the time, and it seems to do very well for me. So I'm just going to add the tiniest bit into this bottle onto the moss pole. Okay, and then the pièce de résistance is finally putting a new moss pole on the top. I reuse moss poles as much as I can. I try not to buy new stuff. So if you've got a moss pole standing around, just dampen the moss so it's a lot more malleable and easy to pop on. So I'm going to pop it there, and to make life easier, I have my Velcro. Again, I reuse all my Velcro, so I've got Velcro scraps here. So let's just pop this on for the final piece. I'm going to put some tiny little zip ties just around to hold this in place, so when the water goes through, it will go through the whole pole from top to bottom. So there you go, that is it, the full 11-month journey. And in case you're wondering, this is the beautiful plant that I'm going to keep. This is the bottom part that we chopped and propped last time. So this is now grown fully, so I'm going to sell that as well. And I've also got the base from the very original chop and prop, which is right here. There's a beautiful sun shining through the window, and they're just making the plants look gorgeous. So I had to utilize that in today's video. I did have a lot of the propagations as well, but you haven't seen that today because they're basically sold. A couple I've given away, most of them I've sold online. Nice, beautiful, easy plant to sell actually. So there you go, the whole journey. And now we are back to square one with this one and a new moss pole in the best possible way. So if you have gone through the last chop and prop with me, or you're here to the end, I hope you can see that it is worth it over time. Chopping, propagating, growing, giving away. If you just keep going and let it keep growing, you'll see it gets bigger and healthier, and you can fix it if need be. Don't be afraid to give it a good chop back, because plants have that in the wild with pests and animals and all sorts. So if you've got indoor plants, they do come back really lovely from a good chop and prop, as long as you look after them through the whole journey. If you can, drop a comment below for me and tell me, have you done a big chop and prop like this before? How did it go? What plant was it? Give me all the details below. It's an amazing thing to do, and it's actually really, really fun to see it keep growing like this. And if you found this video helpful, maybe you saw some small tips as I was going through, please do drop a like and a comment or share with others around. It really does help get this plant channel out there as I continue to grow. There is one more final question, and all I need to ask is, do you want to see this continue? Do you want to see the next 12 months? If you do, drop this emoji down below for me and I will continue to follow the journey to see how big these leaves can really get. But otherwise, thank you very much for joining me. As always, have an amazing week full of leaves, love, and laughter. I really do mean that. And I will see you in the next video. See you later. Bye.